All right, so if you're ready for your next artist, let me hear you say yeah. Make some noise, y'all, for Charlie Allison.
Hello. Bit of a change of pace. We are going to be talking about the role of the one-star Yelp review in history. Very exciting, but far more of history has been chronicled through the complaints of uncomfortable people than you would probably realize at first. With that all being said, there's a bit of a call and response to this particular very short historical story. When I say Ibn Fadlan wrote in his journal, I'm going to point out to you, and I just want you to say, 1 star. That is all that is required. Yes, very good. See, already ahead of the game, Will. But, okay, so let's do a practice. Ibn Fadlan wrote in his journal,
1 star.
Perfect. All right. So, who is this Ibn Fadlan fellow? Ibn Fadlan is an emissary from the Abbasid Caliphate, which ruled over Egypt and a lot of the Middle East. And as a diplomat, he was very suave, very charming, very literate, a man of adab or culture. And he was sent, because he suspected that he had pissed someone off, to central Russia, very far from the palm trees of Cairo. There's not much snow in Cairo. And he is sent there on a mission to see the sights and sort of, come back and tell the Sultan what he's seen. All right, so he heads out, and he picked a very bad time to head out. In Cairo, as we may have mentioned, desert, not really a winter there, and so he sets out on his journey in the middle of winter to central Russia. Well, he's not completely insane, so he spends about 3 months in a steppe city. He is miserable, wonderfully miserable. He writes in his journal that going to the public baths, he pours out the hot water to clean off his face and his beard, and the water cracks and freezes and turns to ice on his face. He is not prepared for this. Ibn Fadlan wrote in his journal,
1 star.
Very good. But you can't hide out winter forever in a city. So, reluctantly and swaddled in about 8 different layers of clothing, he had to have 2 strong men help him onto his horse every morning, which I'm sure the 2 big strong men did not appreciate either. He just rode off into the steppe. The steppe is a great treeless, dry desert with a lot of grass in every other season, but I want you to imagine it's like riding or walking across a blank sheet of white paper. There is nothing there. So the wind can knock you off your horse, and the 2 big strong men have to put you back on it, and you have to rough it a bit, as Ibn Fadlan did. You had to sleep on the ground, which he was not accustomed to. One day, he woke up, and his beard and the condensation in it had frozen to the earth. Man, his face really just has bad luck. Ibn Fadlan wrote in his journal,
1 star.
He's not really liking this trip so far. So far, it's just been facial trauma all the way. But he finally reaches his destination, central Russia, and takes a little side trip to the Volga River. This is the most famous passage Ibn Fadlan wrote, and it's why he's so remembered today. It's one of our best sources for the interaction of the Middle East and the Vikings. Because the Vikings, they never saw a river that they didn't want to, ride down and pillage and trade on. So, Ibn Fadlan is one of our best ethnographers of what would be called the Rus. So he watches them from a safe distance and probably glad hands a little bit, like, hi, how are you doing, in Arabic, which I don't know or speak. But he observes their alarming propensity for drunkenness, their fondness for violence, especially with knives and axes, and their somewhat erratic preference for group sex, often in public, and he's just watching these very tall, strange, pale people do what must be completely alien. However, this passage, the ending note of this, is him observing what we all know as a Viking funeral, which now is person is dead, person's body is put into boat, flammable things are put into the boat, you set the boat on fire, and then you just give it a kick into the river, and off you go. Very moving. Ibn Fadlan sees the old version of this, which involves the three previous elements. Dead chief in a boat, a lot of drinking, a lot of fighting, a lot of semi-consensual sex, human sacrifice, then you kick the boat out into the river and set it on fire. Ibn Fadlan wrote in his journal, "Thanks very much, you've been a lovely audience."